Tonight, we bring you an explosive exposé on a move that has rocked the halls of government and ignited a firestorm on late-night TV. In one of the most jaw-dropping moments of political satire in recent memory, President Trump signed an executive order that essentially gutted the Department of Education, sparking a series of biting monologues, irreverent one-liners, and a cascade of heated debates. As we step into this sensational story, we'll take you behind the scenes of the comedy shows that took aim at this landmark move, an order that not only rewrites the syllabus for American education, but also fuels the ongoing clash between political ideology and the art of comedy. In a night where the late-night host rosters were stacked with fearless comedians ready to rip into the administration's latest antics, the Department of Education became the unwilling star of the show. As President Trump proudly signed off on his controversial executive order during an event at the White House, an event that even invited children to witness the spectacle, the stage was set for a tidal wave of jokes and jabs from the likes of Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Greg Gutfeld, and Jordan Klepper. They turned political tragedy into television gold, using humor as a scalpel to dissect the implications of dismantling one of the nation's key public institutions. On that fateful Thursday, as the nation watched in disbelief, President Trump's executive order arrived like a bombshell. With a move that many called historic and others derisively labeled as a gutting of the Department of Education, Trump aimed to dismantle federal oversight and hand over the reins to the states. His supporters hailed it as a victory for state rights and local control, while his detractors saw it as a disastrous retreat from the promise of equal educational opportunity for all Americans. In the midst of this political maelstrom, the late-night comedy circuit was quick to pounce. Jimmy Kimmel, with his trademark blend of incisive wit and deadpan delivery, set the tone during his monologue that very night. "They say ignorance is bliss," he quipped, his voice dripping with sardonic humor. I know it sounds like a joke, but it's not. Trump famously said he loves the poorly educated, and now he will have so many more people to love. Kimmel's observation struck a chord, turning a contentious policy decision into a punchline that left the audience roaring with laughter and a touch of uncomfortable truth. As if the sheer absurdity of the situation wasn't enough, Kimmel wasn't done. In a surreal moment that seemed plucked from the pages of a political satire novel, he described the White House event where the president signed the order in front of a group of children. They're like, "Hey kids, who hate school?" And they're like, "Well, we do," and they said, "Well, good news, it's over." Kimmel's playful recounting of the scene was a perfect encapsulation of the night's mood, equal parts incredulous and hilariously macabre. With every joke, he peeled back another layer of the political farce that was unfolding before our eyes. The brilliance of late-night comedy lies in its ability to transform the mundane into the extraordinary, turning policy decisions and bureaucratic maneuvers into the fodder for some of the most memorable humor of our time. On the same night, Jimmy Fallon, ever the affable and energetic host, added his own twist. Today, President Trump signed an executive order to shut down the Department of Education. It's a historic move that years from now, kids will not read about in history textbooks, Fallon declared, his tone mixing awe with a dash of irreverence. Fallon's remark was more than just a punchline. It was a commentary on the absurdity of rewriting history and on the future where educational institutions might be relegated to the annals of bizarre presidential experiments. Meanwhile, on a more conservative network, Greg Gutfeld delivered a particularly sharp observation. President Trump signed an order today to dismantle the Department of Education. Yep, soon employees will be reading their pink slips at a third grade level. Gutfeld joked, eliciting laughter and applause from his audience. He even went as far as to compare the order's impact to one of the worst disasters in modern political history, one angry ex-employee calling it the worst thing to happen since Nazis won the Civil War. It was a line so audacious, so over the top, that it perfectly captured the outrage simmering just beneath the surface of American politics. Not to be outdone, Jordan Klepper, known for his acerbic humor and fearless commentary, weighed in with a zinger about how absurd it is to criticize the educational system under the very president who boasts about loving the poorly educated. It isn't just the hosts who are making headlines. The entire landscape of social media is aflame with reactions to the executive order. Across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, fans and critics alike have shared their thoughts, each tweet and meme adding another brushstroke to the surreal portrait of this historic moment. Hashtags like a gutting ed, a Trump adieu shock, and ignorance is bliss have been trending as millions express their outrage, disbelief, and yes, even their laughter at the audacity of the move. For many, the use of humor in such a contentious political climate is not merely a coping mechanism, it is a form of resistance. Late-night comedy has long served as a social barometer, reflecting the public's mood and often pushing back against the establishment with its irreverent insights. In this case, the uproar over the gutting of the Department of Education has become a rallying cry for those who see the move as emblematic of a deeper cultural decay, where education is devalued and ignorance is somehow celebrated. As one viral tweet put it, when the government stops teaching, the comedy starts laughing. This sentiment captures the spirit of a generation that refuses to accept a world where education is relegated to the back seat of political priorities. The monologues and skits unfolded on the various late-night shows that night. The jokes began to pile up like the textbooks that once filled the halls of our educational institutions. Kimmel's dig about states coming up with their own educational standards was a masterstroke of absurdity. For instance, from here on, in order to receive a high school diploma in Florida, all you have to do is complete the maze on the back of the kids' menu at Fuddruckers, he said, and the audience erupted in laughter. This line, which plays on the idea of reducing education to a mere game of chance, perfectly encapsulated the chaos that many feared would result from Trump's decision. Fallon, too, delivered a series of zingers that poked fun at the idea of dismantling a government institution so integral to the future of our youth. His comment about how employees might soon be reading their pink slips at a third grade level was not just a joke, it was a scathing indictment of a policy that many see as regressive and destructive. These quips, delivered with perfect timing and a keen sense of irony, underscore the way late-night comedy turns political decisions into a mirror reflecting the absurdity of our times. In one of the more surreal moments of the night, the panelists took a detour into the realm of diversity, equity, and inclusion, specifically the takedown of the Department of Education's focus on these issues. Kimmel's sarcastic quip about how the Pentagon's removal of a page on Jackie Robinson's military career was framed as a woke purge had the audience in stitches. Right, Jackie Robinson was just a baseball player, nothing special about him. Rosa Parks just loved to ride the bus. She was a commuter, Kimmel joked, using his razor-sharp wit to lampoon the modern obsession with identity politics. It was a line that was as provocative as it was hilarious, pushing the boundaries of what we expect from political comedy. To fully appreciate the magnitude of this moment, it's important to step back and examine the historical context of education in America, a subject that has long been at the heart of political debates. The Department of Education, established with the noble aim of ensuring equal educational opportunities for all, has been a cornerstone of American policy for decades. Yet, as critics of the executive order point out, the department has also been the subject of fierce partisan battles. Proponents of local control argue that education should be tailored to the needs of individual states, while opponents warn that dismantling federal oversight will lead to a fragmented, unequal system where the quality of education depends on geographic luck. President Trump's decision to gut the Department of Education is, in many ways, a reflection of these long-standing tensions. His executive order, which seeks to hand over control to the states, is seen by his supporters as a step toward decentralization and greater local autonomy. However, critics argue that it is a reckless move that undermines the collective promise of a unified education system. In the midst of these heated debates, late-night comedians have taken it upon themselves to shine a spotlight on the absurdity of the situation, using humor to highlight the potential consequences of leaving education in the hands of those who might value entertainment over enlightenment. As we navigate these turbulent waters, one thing is abundantly clear: late-night comedy is more than just entertainment. It is a vital part of our cultural discourse. Tonight's monologues, with their incisive critiques and unforgettable punchlines, have the power to shape the political conversation in ways that traditional news programs simply cannot. By distilling complex policy debates into accessible, humorous segments, hosts like Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Greg Gutfeld, and Jordan Klepper are not only making us laugh, they are making us think. Their ability to blend humor with hard-hitting commentary has redefined the role of the late-night show in American society. It is a role that has evolved over decades, from a lighthearted diversion to a potent tool for social and political critique. In a time when trust in mainstream media is at an all-time low, late-night comedy offers an alternative, a space where skepticism, wit, and a healthy dose of irreverence combine to challenge the narratives pushed by those in power. The impact of tonight's shows is already being felt. Social media is ablaze with clips, memes, and heated discussions about the gutting of the Department of Education, with late-night hosts at the center of the debate. Their jokes, while humorous, are imbued with a seriousness that underscores the stakes of the issue. As our analysis shows, these monologues are not isolated moments of levity. They are part of a broader movement to hold leaders accountable and to remind us that, even in the darkest times, laughter can be a beacon of hope. In examining the confluence of politics, education, and entertainment, we find ourselves at a crossroads where the fate of a nation's future hangs in the balance. The gutting of the Department of Education is more than a policy decision. It is a symbol of the deep divisions that run through our society. It is a decision that challenges the very notion of what it means to be educated, to be informed, and to participate in a democratic society. As we reflect on tonight's events, we are reminded that the battle for the soul of our nation is fought on many fronts, through legislation, through protest, and increasingly through the power of comedy. Late-night hosts are the new court jesters, using humor as a weapon to cut through the obfuscation of political rhetoric and to shine a light on the realities that lie beneath. Their observations force us to confront uncomfortable truths, to question our assumptions, and to envision a future where education remains a fundamental right rather than a commodity to be negotiated by the highest bidder. This intersection of art, policy, and public discourse is what makes our current moment so extraordinary. It is a time when every joke, every punchline, carries the weight of history and the promise of change. It is a reminder that in a democracy, the right to education is intertwined with the right to free expression, and that the two are essential for the flourishing of society as a whole. So what does all of this mean for you, the viewer? As we stand on the precipice of potential upheaval in one of America's most critical institutions, it is imperative that we engage with these issues head on. Whether you are a parent, a student, an educator, or simply a concerned citizen, the decisions made in Washington have a direct impact on your life and the future of your community. It is a call to action, a reminder that while laughter may be our way of coping, it must also spur us to demand better from those in power. We encourage you to join the conversation, share your thoughts on social media, contact your local representatives, and support initiatives that prioritize quality education for every child. In this digital age, your voice matters more than ever, and together we can shape a future where education is not sacrificed on the altar of political ideology. As we wrap up tonight's report, one thing remains clear. The road ahead is fraught with uncertainty, but it is also full of possibility. The executive order that gutted the Department of Education may have been signed in one historic moment, but its true impact will unfold over the coming months and years. The debates ignited on late-night TV are only the beginning, a prelude to a much larger conversation about the future of our nation's educational system and the role of government in shaping the destiny of its citizens. The power of humor, as showcased by our fearless late-night hosts, lies in its ability to cut through the noise and reveal the truth beneath the surface. As the laughter echoes through studios and households across the country, it serves as a reminder that while policies may change and administrations may rise and fall, the fundamental human need for knowledge, growth, and connection remains constant. It is a call to never stop questioning, never stop learning, and never stop laughing in the face of adversity. A night that will resonate through history tonight, we witnessed a convergence of politics, education, and entertainment that will undoubtedly go down in history. President Trump's audacious move to gut the Department of Education has sparked not only a policy debate, but also a cultural revolution. A revolution fueled by the laughter and wit of late-night comedy. The monologues of Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Greg Gutfeld, and Jordan Klepper have transformed a controversial executive order into a moment of collective introspection and defiant humor. As we reflect on the events of this unforgettable night, we are reminded that the future of our country depends on our ability to engage with challenging ideas, to hold our leaders accountable, and to use every tool at our disposal, including laughter, to forge a better path forward. The battle for the soul of American education is far from over, and as the night fades and the cameras go dark, the echoes of these provocative jokes and insightful critiques will continue to inspire debate, drive change, and remind us all that even in the midst of controversy, hope and progress can be found. Thank you for joining us on this sensational, in-depth journey through one of the most talked about moments in late-night comedy and political discourse. Stay tuned for more. Breaking news, exclusive interviews, and expert analysis as we continue to bring you the stories that shape our world. And remember, when the night grows dark, the laughter we share lights the way forward. Si les gustó esta noticia y quieren más, no olviden darle like, suscribirse y compartir este video con todos sus amigos. Hasta la próxima, familia sensacionalista.